Science is more advanced than ever. Seriously, just a little more progress and we'll settle on Mars or even outside the solar system. AI, robots, gadgets available to everyone, the internet everywhere, all this may seem ordinary. But what if I tell you that even with the genius of modern scholars, something is still missing? And I'm not talking about something new, but about the long-forgotten technologies used by our ancestors. First of all, I should say that even though we think technologies shown online are unique and unexplainable, they really aren't. Something is always happening in science. New discoveries are made, theories are refuted, and the internet is far from always keeping up. In the end, some people are still convinced that the Egyptian pyramids could not have been built by the ancient Egyptians without the help of aliens. In general, the involvement of aliens can explain almost any incomprehensible technology, but let's leave this to the conspiracy theorists and turn to the real story. I'll start with one of the most famous ancient technologies. Even if you aren't interested in history, nor Greece, nor fire, you must have heard about Greek fire. This special incendiary weapon was used by the Eastern Roman Empire from about 672 AD. In fact, Greek fire was based on a flammable mixture used to set ships on fire using an ancient flamethrower. Yes, in the 7th century, there were already devices resembling flamethrowers. And you thought ancient people didn't know how to come up with really cool inventions. Greek fire was first used by the Greeks during the Arab siege of Constantinople. Such an incredible weapon for its time, it gave a serious military advantage to the Greeks because it could practically set fire to water. Okay, in fact, it just burned on the water. Even now, it's somewhat shocking. But imagine the reaction of people at that time. It's not surprising that the recipe for this combustible mixture and everything connected with it was carefully guarded and was considered a state secret. The secret was so strict that the recipe for Greek fire was lost forever. Of course, incendiary mixtures were used long before Greek fire. People have long understood that fire is a useful defense in battle, but nothing could compare with the weapons of the Greeks. Despite the fact that we know about Greek fire only thanks to eyewitness accounts, it's still clear how formidable it was. It burned on the surface of the water and, according to some accounts, ignited even more when they tried to extinguish it with water. Also, according to numerous authors, Greek fire could be extinguished by only a few substances, including sand and wine vinegar. Now, imagine that your ship is on fire. What's the likelihood that there's enough sand on board to stop a fire of this size? Witnesses also claimed that a Greek fire attack was always accompanied by a roar and a lot of smoke. To throw the incendiary mixture, copper pipes and siphons were used, installed both on ships and on portable platforms. Of course, scientists have repeatedly tried to unravel the secret of this ancient weapon. It probably contained naphtha, sulfur, tar, and quicklime. According to other versions, it was made with oil, sulfur, nitrate, and various resins. And although many tried to recreate the same Greek fire, nobody has yet been able to unravel its original recipe. Another famous but now lost technology associated with weapons is Damascus Steel. It was a special type of steel with a characteristic pattern of spots and stripes resembling ripples on water. Such blades, appearing in Western Asia before our era, were very durable and incredibly sharp. Legends claimed a blade made of Damascus steel could cut the barrel of a rifle and even cut hair if it falls onto the blade. According to modern research, Damascus steel was really strong. What more is needed for a good sword or saber? It's known that the alloy contained a high percentage of carbon, as well as sulfur, silicon, and arsenic. as well as nanowires and carbon tubes. But even all this knowledge doesn't help to recreate a real Damascus blade. The production of these patterned swords fell off sharply by the 18th century, and by about 1750, it had ceased altogether. Some gunsmiths in the 18th and 19th centuries used this technique to create firearms, but the beginning of the 20th century saw the last attempts to preserve this ancient art. There are various theories why it gradually disappeared. It seems to me that this was due to the fall of the trade routes along which the necessary metals were delivered, plus a gradual change from steel weapons to firearms. We can add here the shroud of secrecy that accompanied the manufacture of Damascus Steel. It led to the loss of critical knowledge. We can only try to unravel the secrets of the blacksmiths of the past, and read about this unique steel in chivalric novels. And by the way, the exceptionally strong Valyrian steel from the Game of Thrones is a reference specifically to Damascus Steel, along with a touch of magic. But not all lost technology relates to weapons. In the end, our ancestors not only fought, they were able to create architecture that was quite amazing for its time. And I'm not talking about the Egyptian pyramids, and no, not even about Stonehenge. Have you ever heard of Sacsayhuaman? This word, which is not so easy to pronounce the first time, is the name of the citadel where the garrison and the temple complex were located. Sacsayhuaman is located near Cusco in Peru at an altitude of 3,500 meters. That's about 11,500 feet. The first settlement on this site appeared around 900 AD, and in the 13th century, it was expanded by the Incas, who built a fortress made of huge stones. And this is where the unsolved mystery lies. The creators of the walls used something called the dry masonry method. The stones were simply stacked on top of each other without any bonding substance. Such walls can be found all over the world. However, there's just one difference. They are much smaller than the buildings in Sacsayhuaman. Most likely, the stones were first cut in the nearest quarry, giving them an approximate suitable shape, and then they were pulled to the construction site. For this, ropes and the labor of hundreds of people were used. Perhaps the stone was then further modified after it was put in place, but this is just a guess. The method by which the Incas achieved such accuracy when placing and adjusting the stones is still unknown, and scientists have not yet attempted to repeat something like this to find out empirically. And, I understand them. And I left the technology, which for many seems like just a legend, for last. However, it is considered one of the lost inventions of the past: flexible glass. In the modern world, this doesn't sound so sensational, in the sense that today, scientists can achieve so much more. However, writings about flexible glass are associated with the period of the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius, that is, from 14 to 37 AD. If you believe the ancient scientist Isidore of Seville, the master who invented flexible glass brought the emperor an unusual bowl. Tiberius tried to break it, but it only crumpled. The master easily corrected the defect and then revealed that he alone knew the technique for making such glass. In response, the emperor ordered the execution of the inventor, fearing that the new material could undermine the value of gold and silver. This sad story was told again and again by various authors, but no one was able to reveal the secret of flexible glass. According to one theory, it consisted of specially treated wood resin, but this is just speculation. Today, flexible glass actually does exist, but it's not made according to ancient recipes. For example, in 1903, French scientist Edouard Benedictus accidentally dropped a flask filled with nitrocellulose. The glass cracked, but didn't shatter into small pieces. And in 2012, an unbreakable, transparent material made of optical fiber, Gorilla Glass 2, was introduced. This is chemically tempered glass of special strength, and for the most part, it can be called flexible. However, it's still not possible to unravel the secret of the ancient masters of that time. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click the bell to receive timely notifications of new, interesting videos that are waiting for you ahead.